I've got it. You always do. If asking for help feels physically worse than doing three people's work alone, you didn't develop a strength, you developed a scar, and psychologists can usually date it. Here's the mechanism up front. Somewhere along the way, your brain filed a rule: needing people is dangerous, and owing them is worse. So it built a workaround. Do everything yourself. Need no one. Stay safe. Psychologists have a name for that setting: hyperindependence. From the outside, it looks like competence. From the inside, it's a smoke detector wired to the word help. Most people ask for a hand and feel nothing. Your nervous system treats the same request like reaching for a live wire. In the next 10 minutes, you'll get the 5 signs that your independence is a scar and not a personality trait. You'll see exactly where your brain learned to code asking is danger. You'll see the real, measurable bill your body pays for refusing support. And you'll get the graded method that actually retrains the alarm, because just ask for help has never once made you do it. First, let's be precise, because independent is a compliment and this is something else. Independence is a choice. You can do it alone, and sometimes you'd rather not. Hyperindependence is a reflex. You cannot let yourself need anyone, even when it's costing you. Attachment researchers have mapped where that reflex comes from. In 1991, psychologists Bartholomew and Horowitz described a pattern they called dismissing avoidant attachment. People who learn to turn their need for others down to zero. Not because the need disappeared, because depending on someone once meant being disappointed or punished or left holding it alone. So the system adapted. It downregulated the need until self-reliance felt like the only safe option on the menu. Here's what matters. That's not a character flaw you were born with. It's a strategy you were taught. And anything taught can be studied, which is exactly what we're going to do, starting with how the lesson gets installed. Let's follow the wiring. Every time you consider asking for help, 2 quiet calculations run before you even open your mouth. The first is about danger. If, early on, your asks were met with irritation, figure it out. Stop being needy. A sigh, a closed door. Your brain learned that reaching out gets you hurt or gets you nothing. Attachment researchers call the fix a deactivating strategy. The mind turns the need down until it stops setting off pain. Ask for less, expect less, and the disappointment can't reach you. The second calculation is about debt. Psychologist Martin Greenberg studied what he called indebtedness, the specific discomfort of receiving something you can't immediately repay. For most people, that discomfort is mild. For you, it's a weight you feel in your body, an itch to square the account before it even forms, so it becomes easier to never accept the help at all. Run danger plus debt a few thousand times, and something hardens. Self-reliance stops being a behavior and becomes an identity. Psychologist Hazel Marcus called these deep, self-defining beliefs self-schemas. And once "I'm the one who doesn't need anyone" becomes a self-schema, asking for help doesn't just feel uncomfortable. It feels like a threat to who you are. So how do you know if your independence is a scar? 5 signs. Count how many are yours. Sign 1. I've got it leaves your mouth before you've even checked whether you've got it. It's not an answer. It's a reflex, a door that closes automatically the instant help approaches. You've said it while drowning. Sign 2. You feel a flash of resentment when no one offers to help, even though you'd have refused if they had. Read that carefully, because it's the tell. Part of you is furious that people took you at your word. You wanted to be seen, not taken up on the independence. Sign 3. You watch other people accept help easily, a favor, a ride, a loan, and feel something between confusion and suspicion. How are they so comfortable owing that? The honest answer is that they aren't keeping score, and somewhere you learned you always have to. Sign 4. You do things yourself that you could easily hand off. the skill you white-knuckle through on YouTube at midnight rather than ask someone who already knows. The cost in time and stress is enormous. The cost of asking still feels bigger. And sign 5, the one that gives the whole thing away. You are everyone else's help. First to show up, lend money, carry the move, take the 2 a.m. call, and you would rather cancel your own existence than let any of them do it back. That's not generosity. It's a one-way valve, built so nothing you need ever has to flow toward you. Here's where the scar gets rewarded, which is exactly what makes it dangerous. At work, hyperindependence looks like your best quality. You never escalate, never flag that you're underwater, never make your problem someone else's. So the work keeps coming. Because from the outside, you're the reliable one, the safe pair of hands. Nobody offers help to the person who never asks. Why would they? You've trained everyone around you to assume you're fine. And you are fine, right up until you aren't. Because the load doesn't stop at your capacity, it stops when something breaks. A deadline, your health, your sleep. This is the trap. Silent overfunctioning reads as competence right up to the moment it reads as collapse. And the collapse blindsides everyone, because you hit every warning sign that came before it. Then comes the cruelest part. You take the breakdown as proof you should have handled even more alone, when it was the handling alone that broke you. The story writes itself backwards, and the alarm only gets louder. Now, the part your body has been quietly keeping the receipts on. In 1985, psychologists Sheldon Cohen and Thomas Wills published a landmark review with a finding that has held up for decades: social support buffer stress. Not metaphorically, physiologically. Having people you can lean on changes how hard stress actually hits the body. Later research put detail on it. In a well-known brain imaging study, people facing the threat of a mild shock showed a calmer threat response the moment someone held their hand, and the calming was strongest with someone they trusted. In stress lab studies, simply having a supportive person present blunts the spike of cortisol, the body's main stress hormone. So look at what hyperindependence is actually doing. Support is a built-in discount on stress, and you are refusing it on principle, paying full retail in cortisol for a life you insist on carrying alone. Chronically elevated stress hormones are linked to worse sleep, weaker immunity, and a shorter fuse for everything else. You didn't just make life harder emotionally. You opted out of the single most studied stress buffer humans have, and your body has been covering the difference the whole time. So how do you retire an alarm this old? Not by force. You can't argue a nervous system into feeling safe. You have to show it, in doses too small to panic about. This is graded exposure. Start absurdly small. Ask someone to pass you something. Ask a coworker a question you could technically Google. Let a friend carry one bag. The point isn't the help, it's the data. Each tiny ask that ends without disaster is one rep telling the alarm. Reaching out did not cost me anything. And 2 research findings make this easier than it feels. First, we badly misjudge how we look when we ask. In studies of what researchers named the beautiful mess effect, people were certain that showing vulnerability would read as weakness, while observers consistently read the very same vulnerability as courage and honesty. The weakness is only visible from the inside. Second, we underestimate how willing people are to help. Vanessa Bones's experiments found people dramatically underpredict how many will say yes to a direct request. We brace for a no that usually never comes. So make it a schedule, not a mood. 1 small ask a day, low stakes, on purpose. You're not becoming needy. You're collecting evidence, teaching a very old alarm that the debt it's been guarding against was paid off years ago. So the next time you feel that automatic "I've got it" rising while you quietly sink, you'll know what it is. Not strength, but a scar doing the job it was trained for, guarding a debt that was settled a long time ago. Ask it the question it can't dodge. Is this danger, or is this just help? And let one small ask through. If your brain got read a little too accurately today, that's what this channel does. One hidden mechanism, twice a week. Subscribe so the next one finds you. Now be honest in the comments. When did you last actually ask for help? The actual date? If you can't remember, that's the sign. Type it.